Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let me greet you. So, hello, DJ Gang, Ignacio, Phil, Priyanka, Steve, and THS. Very welcome there because I'm very grateful to you guys because of you I learn every week. You know, I always say that the time has come to learn all the time. Okay, and you are the great force pushing me to it. So let us start. Let us start by on the chat saying hi everybody. Steve, I exactly meant that poem by Lewis Carroll. You're absolutely right. Okay. So, uh, welcome from Houston, Texas. Okay, we're forming a nice group because we all begin to know each other and we ask questions, we add comments. That's why it works. All right, sharing the screen. That's what we need right here. Here. And I will give you the link to that. Hi, Josh. Okay. Okay, that link. If you click on that, or it's a bit.ly link, so if you type there, you'll get exactly that screen. And I see that you guys are joining. Those anonymous pictures show up. All right. So for those who know, they know. But for those who are here for the first time, you see, Greg, hello. People exchange their LinkedIn. So okay, do whatever advertisement you want. Okay, but for everybody who is here for the first time, what we have here is advances in AI, whatever is new and latest and greatest. And usually there is something. When it started, it wasn't that much. But now it is at least one week, one new major technology or major course every week. And then I try them. I try everyone. At the very least, I look at the introduction so we know what the course is about. But if there's more time, then I actually run that. I don't just do the course. I download and put it into my repository. So that's the next step. Next step is right here. And I enjoy seeing you chatting here. The next step is right here. I call it AI education. And this shows all of the courses that we looked at. Now, if you look down, you see we looked at about 100, more than 100 courses. Now, in here, you have the course name, who is it from, then you have the link to that, and I think I have the new one, right? No, not that one, but I'll show you anyway. And here on the right is my repository. So that's an example. Let's go there just to see what the repository looks like. Let's say I do the copy, and that's all the labs that I copied from whatever course it was, plus all the setup. So in that case, you only see the slides, but in other cases, you would also see the actual notebooks. Okay, like I'm picking one at random. Okay, there is a lesson, and you will see that. Okay, now you know the whole story, and we will look at new things today, and then we will discuss them. All right, here we are. So, first of all, you remember this cute robot? cute robot that was published by Hugging Face. Well, I immediately sent the money and they immediately didn't do anything at all. I think a few months later they're getting ready and that's their update. The update is that the cute robot, which looks like that, right? Isn't it nice? Will come. Will come and you can already start experimenting with the software. So that is the new thing here on that. And I think that there was more fun. Well, let's try to see if we can get it. Poland. Yeah. So they promised all these boxes. I think they're having fun because, you see, they promised thousands and thousands, and instead they'll ship first 100 and then they'll ship more and so on. So that is what we all hope to play with. Even though I don't honestly understand what's the difference between that and any other software. And it's definitely cute. That's thing number one. Thing number two is the amazing new Atlas browser. Now, I have to honestly tell you right away, I was not able to run it as is appropriate. But I'll tell you the whole story of how I talked to chat, and it tells me that you almost got it, but you need some other things. So I do have that. I have some other things, and I'll tell you what I don't have. But first, I will look at some parts of the video because that really shows you the best. And my experience, I don't know what is yours, but my experience is that OpenAI sucks at just one thing. You can't find the new stuff when they output that. I mean, you look around and you cannot find it. At least I'll show you where you find it. Okay, let's see. There were some comments. Okay, that's you introducing yourselves. That's great. But going back here, I need to do one thing. I need to stop share. And I need to share again. This time I will include sound. So whatever we hear, you will also hear. Let's go to the video. We are not going to watch the whole thing, don't worry.
Good morning. Today we're going to launch ChatGPT Atlas, our new web browser. This is an AI-powered web browser built around ChatGPT. It's something we've been super excited about and working hard on for a long time and really excited to share with you today.
So there
We
will
think
be
that
blah,
AI
blah, blah.
represents like a rare once-a-decade opportunity to rethink what a browser can be about
Let's
and how to use
go
one and
right
how to
away
sort of most productively.
to the
clutter
demo.
and complexity.
So first, it just gets more presented with when you first download and open the app,
Okay.
or anytime you create a new tab.
Now let's pause for
We
a
tried-
second. So what you are supposed to do is download Atlas. It's called Atlas. Okay. So try that. Try to, well, go back to share. Why? Here, try that. Download OpenAI Atlas browser. Okay. Well, introducing the browser, let's see what will happen. It says download. Well, keep in mind that not for any Mac. And unfortunately, my Mac is, I have to acknowledge, it's 2017. And what I needed is at least 2018. Then I would have it. So you can click on that, but it won't help you. Closing that, going back to the demo. Hey, what are you doing? So it turns out you need either, oh, sorry. You need a better Mac, or you can imitate it. That's the next step. So let's go more to the introduction. I'll show you how much of that you can imitate, and let's see what are the capabilities of this new
I've created
browser.
an experience here that will feel totally familiar coming from a traditional browser, but with all the power of ChatGPT baked in. To that end, you'll see there's a composer in the center of the screen where you could ask Chat a question like normal. You can get to all of your tools, your models, and your sidebar with all of your chat history. So, but because it's a browser, you can do more. Type Hacker News, Chat's going to take me to the URL. I could say, I could reference a bookmark in human language, and it's going to open my commits for this Galaxy diff. You can use browser memory to search your web history for something that you know you've seen before, but you don't know exactly where it is. So let me say, search web history for a doc about Atlas core design. No, I made this somewhere. Searching your browser memories. And there you go. It looks like it found the doc I'm talking about. It's in my Google Docs. If I tap it, you'll see it'll open there. Let's jump back to the homepage for one final feature. So below the composer on Atlas, you'll see suggestions. These suggestions are kind of the first version of personalization in Atlas. It will be generated for you based on what
Okay.
Atlas understands about what you've been up to or might be trying.
But let's move further. And one other thing that it can do, it can go into agentic mode. So you give it a task. For example, here they give it a task. You look at the page, and at the same time you see Ask ChatGPT. So you are asking ChatGPT, which is running in that part of the window, but you're asking it about the content of that. And then you can do more. You can, for example, ask it to perform an agentic task. So, for example, you can say, hey, you have full control over that, and please do my commits, compare them to the standard, tell me how risky it is to commit, and they joke about, we said no commits before the release. And you see, that's why you can find stuff, because they are developing at an overwhelming rate. Another thing you can do is a long-term task, and then you give that task and let it run. For example, plan my trip, and if you can't, then go here and then go to another browser. So you know what to do. You're AI, and you have all the means that I have at disposal. So that boils down to computer use. You remember the Anthropic came up with computer use, and you essentially give over to AI, and it knows what to do. That's what you would do. So you can go away for 10 minutes. There he writes a review. Okay, so very good. I'll give you that link because you can't even find it. I'm giving you that link on the chat. Here on the chat, there. That's at least the show. But I ask, what can I do? You're saying, it kept saying you can do it in your version. Let me show you how much you can do it in your version. So I'll open chat. Here I am. And I immediately discovered that in my version, and that's what you see. Let me move that window up there. That's my version. I'm lucky it says Pro. Well, because it says Pro, I have some of the features of the Atlas, but not all of them. What are they? Click here, click there, and you will see lots of stuff. Orders, personalization, settings. That's where you go. You go in settings, and you see all the stuff that will come in the browser, except for that one feature where you give over control. You're saying You are running on the right, but my page is on the left, and now you can work on that. So it is essential computer use, and it has control over that. Now, what you don't see is agentic mode. So therefore, let's ask it. Can you run in agentic mode? Can you run in agentic mode? And keep in mind that I'm in the pro. So if you don't even see that, that's because, sorry, you're not in pro. But I had to do it. Okay. Yes, I can operate in agentic mode. It's not a toggle. But what happens if you... Yeah, show me a small example. Yes. Let's look at that. Okay, so the major idea, you give it the task. And then it begins to do the research. By the way, it does it very fast, doesn't wait for us humans to look at that, but produces the whole thing. So that's much more than you normally get as an answer. So tell us more. Tell us more about imitating Atlas browser in my chat GPT window. By the way, that does teach you to be precise in what you're saying, and something that it will understand like a human will understand. So of course it's a great question. What Atlas really is a whole thing, a whole bunch of different things. So you can imitate Atlas in the normal GPT window. It won't be perfect. It won't have everything. And that's, in addition to being that, it's also changing all the time. So you don't know what you will see unless you try. That's the end of that. So you saw what kind of research it's made, and then it shows you that. Now you can say stop that. Stop the agentic mode, but it can be a non-agentic thing. I think that you do need the browse. Okay, stop the agentic mode. Just answer normally. And let's ask the same question. Imitate Atlas in my chat GPT window. So a normal answer, a short answer, not a research kind of thing. So we begin to see the capability. I'm not going to reproduce the demo because you can watch the demo. And I just gave you that link, didn't I? Right? Yes. Okay, well, of course you will ask me, will I finally upgrade my Mac and buy that? Well, I might, because I just showed you that I'm very much into new and cool things. I made one mistake a long time ago, and that was now I want to look at the chat. Okay, and Google came up with a new computer which had to be always connected to the internet. You may remember, and it was costed too much, 400 like, but nevertheless I bought it and I tried to give it to everyone. No, it was a flop. So not every new technology is good, but you can't resist being very interested in that. And yes, maybe you will see a Mac finally. But even before that, you can try. Google Chromebook it was, yes, exactly. Hidden schools maybe, right. Somehow it didn't work perfectly. But back to where we are. We want to keep talking, and Greg, let me pause for a second and look at your question. Can you ask the reason you're thinking the explicit list? Oh, okay. Let's do that. Yeah. Greg, do okay, so I'll have to rephrase it. Okay, let's try it. No, no, not that. Yeah, I looked at Perplexity comment because that's a competitor, but it wasn't that new glitzy thing. So reasoning that, let's try that. Copy, put it in there. Let's see what it says. So it thinks I'm asking the question. No, really, I'm saying stop that. Just show me your reasoning. That's what you wanted, Greg, correct? One advantage, by the way, of you typing and not talking is that I can copy paste that. Okay, now you have it. Cannot give it to you, but at least I can talk about that. Okay, all right, let me look again at the chat because maybe there's something else. Yeah, vulnerabilities. That's our next topic anyway. So here we are. Back to what we're talking about here. We talked about this atlas, but there is a new course. Now, in that course, Databricks is still trying to make an impression. The problem is all opinions are my personal and probably wrong. But Databricks is a great engine to distribute your compute load. And I think that's all it does. But they are trying to make an imprint in AI, and I don't think that works. Because if you ask them, what is the advantage of running AI on Databricks? They say, well, what if you need 1,000 processes at the same time? The thing is that there must be answers. You can't run many processes at the same time, and you really don't need it. Well, now that I'm talking about Agentic, I'm beginning to think that maybe you can concoct yet another use of Spark. So you would use Spark, you would run multiple agents, thousands of agents. I would still say it's crazy. But let's look at the first. Now they are talking about data governance because they're deep entrenched in Azure and Microsoft. So government clients should buy that. Let's look at least at the beginning.
Welcome to Governing AI Agents built in partnership with Databricks. In this course, you learn how to integrate data governance into your agent's workflow to ensure the agent can handle data safely, securely, and accurately. Data governance consists of a set of policies and practices that you can implement to ensure your agent has access only to the data that it needs, that personal information is protected from unauthorized access, and that you and your team can monitor the agent's performance. I'm delighted the instructor for this course is Amber Roberts, who is Staff Technical Marketing Manager at Databricks.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm excited to work with you on this course.
Say you want to build an agent specialized in customer analysis. You can define for the agent a set of tools that allow it to ingest data like customer demographics or transactions or website engagements and survey responses. If you give this agent broad permissions to all this data, it risks the agent leaking private customer information such as credit card info or their address or their personal purchase behavior, data that shouldn't be visible to maybe all company employees. If, however, you build this agent with data governance in mind, then you can ensure that your agent properly handles this data. For example, you can specify in the deployment environment what tables or columns your agent can access and encrypt customer IDs and mask credit card information. You can also implement data quality checkpoints for the agent's input and output and add evals to measure output quality and enable observability to log the agent's processing steps. All of these practices help you to continuously monitor the agent's behavior and debug any failure scenarios.
In this course, you will learn how to apply these governance practices to an agent that you'll build and deploy on Databricks. Now, in order to make sure your agent follows least privilege access, you'll give the agent specific intentional access with views. These views, which are SQL queries that act like tables, will contain only the data needed for the agent's task. Now, for the agent to access these views, you will need to learn how to specify the agent's permissions. You will then build tools so the agent can access the data and register those tools as functions in Unity Catalog. Unity Catalog is an open source data catalog that ensures only authorized agents or users can access those tools. After that, you will implement the agent logic using the OpenAI SDK, evaluate it, and enable tracing using MLflow. And finally, you will deploy your agent. To follow along with the course labs, you can create your account with Databricks Free Edition and try the labs at no cost.
Many people have worked to create this course. I'd like to thank AI agents
Okay.
built in partnership.
So we did that. What we didn't get is why would you do it? Why would you do it on Databricks specifically? But nevertheless, that just came. That's why I'm not showing it to you. But next time, I will definitely run it and show how it works. And maybe I will also find why would you decide to run that on Databricks. All right, that's what I wanted to show you. And I did. Now, I also wanted to share a few more things. So first of all, you guys know that I'm writing a book on AI and security, or rather security of AI. Well, how lucky I was that another publishing house, they asked me to review a book on security of AI. Also the same thing. The guy takes a very different approach, so no danger for me to borrow anything, but it's very good to see a different point of view. So he is talking about Agentic, and yes, that's a very valid approach. Agentic and security of agentic AI. Not only I believe that most people who implement AI today are completely not familiar with security in general, and that's what my book will cover. But they are those who build agentic are even less familiar as a group. So I think you can imagine that with agentic, the possibility of hacking is humongous, and at the same time, the protection is minimal. So that will be a lot of fun. I'll give you an update next time. Now, since we're talking about agentic, I myself, I'm getting into the weeds, and I'm right now I have two things that I'm working on. One is the agentic guidelines from OpenAI, and I prepared a few slides for you to look at. Another one is still going through the very long and extensive course of agentic, building agentic on Andrew A platform. Not really a platform, because he is very generic. So he is, this is most generic OpenAI. The next one is generic from Andrew A, which we discussed last time. But I think I will be back to that too. So I'll show you that. That's what I really want to show. But next time I will review and have a final say on all of these agentic. That's because I have a project which seems to be very natural, new project, very natural to be implemented in agentic. So let's look at that. Okay, that's only the beginning, but OpenAI wants to tell you again what's an agent. Now, when Andrew Ng wanted to tell you what's an agent, he also wanted to mention that he invented the whole thing. At least he invented agentic as opposed to agent, to avoid all kind of Is it an agent or is it not an agent? Well, the uh, the OpenAI doesn't go there. Instead, they say that's an agent, that's not an agent. So, what is not an agent? If you have very clear idea of the flow of your software. So, conventional software, uh, all of it does, all of the world of software which is it in the world, that is streamline and automate workflows. As opposed to what do the agents do? Well, they do the same thing, but keyword is on user behalf. So what on user behalf means is that it's free to decide how to do it. That's big, right? Because you're not giving it an exact progression of the software. And in fact, it can choose a different progression. It decides what to do next. Well, sounds very ambitious. There are then, of course, multiple approaches of how independent it will be. It can really be not very independent. You tell it what to do and it does it. So it goes away, it works for 10 minutes, comes back. That's an agent for you, but the software does the same thing. So, for example, not agents. You talk to LLM, not an agent. You do a sentiment analysis, not an agent. That's my project. That's what I mostly do. Document extraction, not an agent. Where would agents come in when they decide themselves to change the workflow? They decide to change it knowing things and because they are AI, they can be very free on how to find the next step. So you can imagine they say that you are a creative analyst, creative security analyst, who is looking at things that not just give you rules on how to find a vulnerability, but who says it's just my gut feeling that something is wrong there, and look for cues, keys, hints. All right. In other words, it's using tool, and that's where I bring. Of course, they emphasize that should be clearly defined guide rails, because now that you give it freedom, who knows how much freedom it will use. All right, but I have a wonderful example of a tool. So let me show you that one of my favorite examples of the tools. Here, it's a calendar. So you can imagine that you're saying, just go and set up everything. By the way, that's my calendar, and set up my meetings. So that is an excerpt from Shakespeare play Midsummer Night's Dream, probably most popular, most comical play. And here we have some actors who are going to present a play, and they figure out logistically how to present a play. Keep in mind, when they talk, they want to sound very educated. And because of that, that confuse words. You will see word confusion. So Quince, who is a play director, he says, but there is two hard things, of course, wrong grammar. That is to bring the moonlight into the chamber. Why? For you know, Pyramus and Thisbe, the two lovers meet by moonlight. So what do? Being an agent, they need to resolve that question. Does the moon shine that night we play our play? He doesn't know. And the one guy who is everywhere, he just wants to take every role, he wants to be every person. So he says a calendar, and he repeats himself. All of that AI will do. Look at the almanac, look for moonshine. And the thing is that the play is to be performed on the first of the lunar month. That's exactly when the moon is not seen at all. So those of my friends who are going by the lunar calendar, like Hindus and Chinese, they know full well that on a moon just beginning new month, it's not seen. Nevertheless, they make a mistake. They bring the calendar. Yes, it does shine that night. Okay, so keep in mind that your AI may be making mistakes. We know that. But then they know about themselves that they make mistakes. So the same bottom who takes care of everyone, he says, why? Then you have a casement of the great chamber window where we play. It will be open, but or else we must come in with a bush of thorns and lanthorn and say he comes to, keep in mind, he wants to say to present, but instead he says to disfigure. Well, really he wants to say configure, but he says disfigure the person of the moonshine. Well, that's a perfect example of the tool. And then they will go, why would you build it at all? What will be the foundations and what would be the guardrails? All right. What was it? That was the generic, the most high-level approach to building agentic AI as expounded by OpenAI. What else for tomorrow? I mean, for next time, we will be back to Andrew Ains. We already started module 1. It turns out that all other modules are paid for pay, and that's what I will show. I will show you the next time. I'll show you a complete Andrew's course and how does that relate to the OpenAI's guidelines and everything. So let me look at your chat, guys. Let's see what you're saying. Okay, a lot of good ideas here. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. And there were a few smaller questions. One was, can you have a RAG application, essentially? Can you build something that will talk to you and that will use AI? Yes, I have lots of examples. And therefore, I didn't answer exactly. I showed how you would start. This source has examples. Vertex AI has example on voice search, and ADK again from Google that has examples. But for the person who asked this question last, I'll need to ask him what were exactly the problems, what specifically did you want to do, okay? And I think that covers all that we wanted to cover. So what I will do is this. I will stop sharing. I will be silent for a little time, and I will ask you, guys, questions or suggestions. Well, for that, I need to open the chat. One second, where's my chat? Oh, here's the chat. Okay. So, first of all, questions, suggestions. And secondly, Steve already asked a question. Steve, your question is, can you still use the older versions? The answer is yes. They're all up there. So let's go there. Okay, and the next security seminar. Okay, so I got what I wanted. I wanted to hide a little and elicit more questions, and I did. So back to the camera, back to share the screen. So the first one was Marcia. So it is there. The next, you go to elephant scale. Okay, now it should be here. So webinar, the next one, cybersecurity, register now, and October 23 is wrong. Again, I'm sorry. It's really Thursday. Really, it is Thursday. So I don't see. But it is Thursday, October 30. October 30. So cyber. That is the first question. And I will make sure that it's amazing. Marcio, I know we are in direct communication, so I'll absolutely send you the link. Yes. And I'll send the link to Brian. Now, Brian, I'm sorry, but if you don't mind, let's do that. Mark at elephant scale is my email, okay? And if you just write to me directly, I will make sure that the link works and that you will be in this webinar, okay? That's number one. Number two, Steve was asking about all the labs. So the story is that you go to GitHub. Okay, and on GitHub you go to elephant scale. You see, some of them are private. You have to do it. But OpenAI Labs, we call it OpenAI Labs, but really it's by now all kinds of AI. I just don't want to change it. So all of these labs were okay the last time I looked. So all of them is lots of them, and you have the complete instruction how to run it, how to run the first time, what keys do you need. So sometimes you do need the keys, and for any such questions, I suggest that you write directly. Here's my email, okay, and really thank you for asking these questions because that pushes me to work harder. Okay, you know, um, I think you have to admit that some people are out of work, but some people work harder. Not necessarily that they're being paid, but they are just doing it for the love of it. Okay, so all for the fun. So everybody have a great weekend and a great year to come. And again, thank you. Okay, the date on cybersecurity. There is some conflicting. Yes, Marshall, let's do it this way. You will write, and I will make sure that I will answer. Conflicting info on the exact time. Oh, I know when. It's 1 hour after we have it. Okay, let me show you my calendar to prove the point that I really mean that. So that's my calendar. Calendar. Just like the Shakespeare heroes. And starting from here, well, I want to show it's 1 hour after, but it's not, at least not here, but it should be right here. Yes, it is 1 p.m. Central Time. But I will make sure, Marcio, and everybody else who is interested, that I will email to you and we have exact time. So please plan for October 30, right here, 1 p.m. That's the plan. All right, everybody, thanks a lot. Be well, all the best. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to all the friends.